At the beginning of the film, we are introduced to a couple who recently had a baby. However, they seem worried and fearful, resulting in them breaking all the mirrors in their house. The mother places their child in a swing before leaving for some work. Suddenly, a strange scene unfolds as a baby monster emerges from the swing and accidentally cuts the child's spine, causing blood to flow. Meanwhile, the father attempts to break the last remaining glass but is interrupted by the sudden appearance of a witch who takes his life. When the mother returns, she is horrified to find her child deceased, with a bluish complexion indicating it had been dead for some time. The witch vanishes just as mysteriously as she appeared, leaving everyone bewildered. After some time, we encounter another couple, Rachel and her husband, who also recently had a child. They move to a new place and begin unpacking when a parcel arrives. It contains boxes and toys sent by Rachel's mother, which belonged to Rachel's sister and her late daughter, the same woman and child involved in the earlier events with the witch and the baby monster. Now we start to understand what happened to them, but the reasons behind it remain unknown and will likely be revealed later in the story. Rachel is displeased to see the items, feeling that her mother sent old things belonging to her deceased niece. However, her husband reassures her that what happened to her sister was an accident and advises against dwelling on these objects. Among the items, there is a book containing writings in a different language, accompanied by pictures and a melody. Rachel doesn't understand the language, but her husband has some knowledge of it. He examines the book and discovers that the lines and tunes are lullabies. Rachel begins humming one of the lullabies but interrupts herself upon receiving a phone call, closing the book. Days pass, and their child continues to cry incessantly and struggle to sleep like many other babies. This causes both Rachel and her husband to feel worried and exhausted, realizing that raising a child isn't easy. They take time off work to care for their child, with Rachel being a businesswoman and her husband an artist. On this particular day, he has an art exhibition, so he leaves for work while Rachel takes care of the child alone. Despite her attempts to soothe the baby, he refuses to sleep. While getting a blanket for him, Rachel rediscovers the same book containing the lullaby. She hums it once again, and this time the child falls into a peaceful slumber. Strangely, cracks appear on a glass in their house. When her husband returns from work late at night, Rachel informs him about the lullaby and how it helped their child sleep soundly. They both feel relieved and happy about this development. As they prepare to sleep, they leave the baby monitor on, which is placed in their child's room. Suddenly, a witch emerges from the swing in the child's room and starts approaching Rachel. Alarmed by a sense that something is amiss, Rachel rushes to her child's room but finds no one there. She checks the open closet, but it is empty. When she looks at the baby monitor, suspecting it might be malfunctioning, she throws it away in the trash. As she exits the room, she senses movement throughout the house. Rachel searches the entire house but finds nothing unusual. However, as she gazes at herself in the mirror, unbeknownst to her, we can see the witch lurking behind, observing her. Moreover, more cracks appear on the broken glass. While her husband is taking a bath, Rachel approaches him, only to catch a glimpse of the same witch in the mirror. Terrified, her husband pushes her away, which leaves Rachel feeling upset about the incident. After this, Rachel goes to get a new baby monitor and suddenly experiences darkness. The witch who had been frightening her scares Rachel once again. Strange occurrences are happening not only inside their house, but also outside of it. The witch keeps an eye on Rachel and her child through the mirror, and the cracks on the mirror increase. Rachel hears crying from her child's room, but is surprised to find her child right beside her. Curious and scared, she goes to check the room, where she discovers another child crying in the swing. However, when she removes the blanket, there is no child but a toy. Rachel becomes fearful as doors open and close on their own. She decides to leave the house and sits outside. When her husband returns home, she tells him about her fear that someone might be inside the house. He enters the house with a rod to investigate, but finds no one. In his haste, he accidentally kills their parrot, which saddens him deeply since he has had the parrot since childhood. Rachel comforts him and blames herself for all the strange occurrences, feeling like she's becoming as crazy as her sister. Her husband assures her that she is not to blame and that her sister was the one who lost her sanity, even going so far as to cover her child's body for weeks. He tells her that she is nothing like her sister and shouldn't worry. Rachel reveals that she sees a witch-like woman who frightens her. Her husband shows her a picture of a woman in the book and asks if it's the same woman she sees. It turns out that the woman in the book is indeed the same witch. Despite their anxiety, they decide to support each other and face the situation together, determined to resolve it. At night, Rachel's husband hears their child crying from outside while they are sleeping together. He wakes up and goes to comfort the child, ending up at the spot where they had thrown the book. The crying sound was emanating from the book, drawing them towards it. He returns with the book. In the morning, as Rachel sleeps, she discovers that her child has disappeared. She hears the child's voice coming from beneath the sheet. Worried, she searches and finds her child, initially believing the child to be dead. However, it turns out that the child is perfectly fine. Upon realizing this, Rachel feels relieved. The following day, Rachel's husband takes their child and leaves because Rachel has some important work. Her husband visits a church and meets with a priest. Meanwhile, Rachel goes to a mental hospital where her sister is admitted. Rachel's husband shares everything with the priest about their experiences and asks for help from an exorcist who specializes in dealing with spirits. The priest reveals that Rachel's sister had also come seeking the same assistance. They delve into the details of the book, and Rachel confides in her sister about what has been happening. Her sister becomes frightened upon learning that Rachel had sung the lullaby. She explains that she had locked away all those belongings to prevent anyone from accessing them, but somehow they came into Rachel's possession, and since Rachel had sung the lullaby, things would become very bad. Rachel's sister and the priest proceed to reveal the story behind the witch and the lullaby contained in the book. It is said that before the creation of Adam and Eve, God had created a woman named Lilith. Many believe that Adam possessed a special lullaby that would always summon Lilith to him. Lilith wanted to live with him, but because of Eve, she did not want to live with him. Due to this mistake, Lilith was expelled from that place and left in the forest. She wandered in the forest and started living with wolves. Eventually, she gave birth to a deformed child that did not resemble a human in any way. The child was part human, but mostly wolf-like in appearance. As Adam and Eve's children were born, who were fully human and beautiful, Lilith became jealous of them. She began stealing their children, continuing this pattern for generations. In the present generation, there were no special kinds of children. They were all descendants of Adam and Eve. Adam prayed to God and banished Lilith to the forest. The word lullaby came into existence to protect children from Lilith. It refers to a specific lullaby that kept the children safe from her. By singing this particular lullaby, mothers could safeguard their children from Lilith. However, Lilith was cunning, and she played a trick. She modified Adam's special lullaby, making changes that would awaken her when sung. This allowed her to return and continue taking children. Her sister offers to save the child if they help her escape. Rachel agrees to the deal, and her husband seeks assistance from a priest. However, the priest dismisses the story as false and declines to help. Rachel's husband, angry and frustrated, returns home. Upon reaching home, he discovers that all the faucets in the bathroom are open, causing water to flow everywhere. He leaves his child alone in the room and goes to close the faucets. Suddenly, the bathroom door slams shut, trapping him while his baby is unattended. Lilith's monstrous child, the same one seen near the swing earlier, the child responsible for decapitating a baby, approaches him. The child attempts to harm Rachel's child by smashing a glass container in front of them, causing shards of glass to scatter dangerously. Meanwhile, Rachel's husband catches a glimpse of Lilith in the bathroom. Just as the child is about to get hurt, Rachel intervenes and stops them. Her sister accompanies her. Seeing her sister, Rachel's husband questions why she brought her along, but she explains that she can help them. However, he thinks she is crazy and disapproves of her presence. Rachel's sister reveals that Lilith previously took her child and killed her husband, emphasizing the urgency of saving their child. She advises keeping an eye on Lilith at all times, covering the glass, and quickly fleeing whenever they spot her since she uses it as a gateway from her world. A man calls Rachel's husband, claiming to be a senior priest who received a message from the priest he had consulted earlier. The senior priest offers assistance based on the information in the book. Rachel's husband immediately leaves for the provided address. Meanwhile, Rachel and her sister are taking care of the child at home. Rachel expresses doubts about being a good mother, but her sister encourages her not to think that way, explaining that these thoughts are planted by Lilith to weaken her trust. She urges Rachel to be brave and have faith. Rachel's husband arrives at the given address and meets the senior priest, who examines the book and informs him that someone has sung the lullaby written in it. The priest confirms that Rachel had indeed sung the lullaby, leading to Lilith's attention being drawn to their child. He explains that Lilith doesn't directly come and take the child or kill them. Instead, she follows a ritualistic process to reach the child. There are 3 steps in this ritual. The first step is to sing the lullaby, followed by shedding the blood of an animal, such as a bird, within the house. Rachel's husband realizes that their parrot has shed blood and died, indicating the completion of the second step. This means that the final 3rd step is yet to be fulfilled, shedding a drop of the child's blood. Once this happens, Lilith will come to claim the child. The priest provides special candles and a prayer, emphasizing the importance of reading the prayer with unwavering faith, since Lilith is powerful but can be overcome with strong belief. Rachel's husband departs, taking the book with him as it poses a danger to the world. Meanwhile, Lilith's child approaches Rachel's child to make a small cut. However, Rachel becomes alert and swiftly picks up her child. Her sister arrives and suggests that Rachel take a moment to calm down while she looks after the child. Rachel suspects her sister's intentions, especially when she removes the cloth covering the glass, which she shouldn't have done. Her sister pricks the child with a needle, causing blood to flow, and starts singing the lullaby. Rachel questions her sister's actions, to which she reveals her desire to bring back her own child who is still with Lilith in the other world. She orchestrated sending the book to Rachel and had been waiting for this opportunity since her child was born, exposing her jealousy. Enraged, Rachel attacks her sister, and they engage in a fight. Amidst the chaos, Lilith appears and takes Rachel's child with her. Her sister then grabs Rachel and pulls her into the bottle, transporting them to Lilith's world. When Rachel's husband returns home, Lilith attacks him, but he manages to escape. Inside the house, he sees Rachel's reflection in the mirror, which disappears moments later. He proceeds to burn all the candles and checks all the mirrors in Lilith's world. Her sister advises her to confidently call out their daughter's name, believing it will help locate her and save both children. As Rachel calls her daughter's name, she begins to hear her voice and follows it. Lilith then targets Rachel's husband, attempting to extinguish the candles, but his confident prayers keep them lit, causing Lilith to retreat. Rachel enters a room where she finds her child, but Lilith launches an attack and tries to snatch the child. Rachel's sister intervenes, fighting against Lilith and rescuing the child, whom she gives back to Rachel. She urges Rachel to escape while she holds off Lilith, sacrificing herself in the process. As Rachel flees, all the mirrors start shattering, but she runs even faster to protect herself. Rachel's husband's prayerful voice assists her, and prior to this, the mirror in their house had already shattered as she crossed over and returned. Now, Lilith begins emerging from the broken mirror to attack Rachel. However, Rachel and her husband join forces, repeating the prayer together to prevent Lilith from entering their world. Initially, it appears that everything has become calm and fine. Unfortunately, this is not the case, as Rachel discovers that her sister had switched her own child with the one Rachel had saved. The child Rachel believed to be hers was actually her sister's, while her own child remains in Lilith's world. This revelation deeply saddens Rachel. Her sister's sole objective was to save her child, but she had become consumed by madness. Despite being a mother herself, she failed to consider Rachel's status as a mother too. Afterward, Rachel's husband decides to steal the book and bring it to her. They are determined to retrieve their child and journey into Lilith's world. However, they soon realize that their adversaries extend beyond Lilith, as Rachel's sister has transformed into a new witch. Now in possession of Rachel's child, the situation becomes even more perilous and dangerous than before. This marks the terrible ending of the story. Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it,